Get ready, it's game time. I'm Migs Bustos. 2 days to go before the much-anticipated title defense of the Pac-Man in Brisbane against Australian Jeff Horn. We'll tackle that matchup with Australian sports journalist Paul Eyers. And we'll talk to the Mapua Cardinals on their bid to regain lost glory in the NCAA basketball competition. We are just 2 days away from the latest title defense of the fighting Senator Manny Pacquiao. The Pac-Man is the favorite to retain his WBO welterweight belt against Australian Jeff Horn. But will Horn have the home court edge as the match will take place at the Corp Stadium in Brisbane? What does this fight mean for both Pacquiao and Horn, as well as for the future of boxing in Australia? We have in the studio Paul Eyers. He is a News Corp Australia multi-platform journalist who writes for the Courier Mail Online and Quest newspaper and has a special interest in fighting sports like boxing and MMA. Hi Paul, welcome to the Philippines.
Thanks
welcome
so much
to Game Time.
Thank
you so much on a busy Friday night for your time here with us. Paul, I just want to ask first about your career in sports journalism. What's that all about?
Yeah, excellent. So I've been a journalist for the last 2.5 years now for News Corp Australia, writing for the Courier Mail. So do a lot of videos online, write a lot of sports stories, predominantly in soccer. That's a bit of a specialist of mine, but also local government politics as well. As for boxing, well, it's just come through a passion of mine. Started off as a child, like in WWE, wrestling, and of course following on from two other combat sports, such as boxing and the UFC, of course.
How is boxing big, in Australia?
Oh, it isn't quite as big as it is here in the Philippines, but in saying that, Australians love all sports. There pretty much isn't a sport that Australians aren't really passionate about if someone from their own country's playing. Or fighting in this case. So Jeff Horn this Sunday, everyone's getting behind him, especially with the underdog tag. Australians love to get behind the underdog. So we're going to see a lot of support, and he's already had a lot of fans out watching him train so far in Brisbane this week and a couple of live sessions. So they're really getting behind him back home.
Now, Paul, here in the Philippines and us Filipinos, we're used to Manny Pacquiao, our hometown hero, fighting against the greats. You got Miguel Cotto, Oscar De La Hoya, of course, Floyd Mayweather, but then this year, he will be fighting against Jeff Horn, who is not really that known to us Filipinos. But then in Australia, how big of a big thing is Jeff Horn here, and why is he fighting Manny Pacquiao?
Well, similar to the Philippines, Jeff Horn isn't a household name in Australia yet, but after this fight, he most certainly will be, regardless of the result. This is someone who's only been a professional boxer for just over 4 years now, and only has 17 fights, so there's not a lot of experience there, but the experience he does have are against some great boxers. 9 of those were world-ranked boxers, and he's going to make a good account of himself on Sunday, I'm sure of that.
Paul, you talked about experience. You mentioned that big word. I guess, that will be the biggest advantage of Manny Pacquiao, because looking at the stats, looking at the tail of the tape, wow, Pacquiao is just really, with 59 wins, Horn with just 16 wins so far in 11 knockouts. Pacquiao has 38. But the biggest advantage of Jeff Horn will be his age. He's 29 and Pacquiao's 38. What do you think, Paul? Will this be a big factor in this fight?
It's going to be a good fight because both of these boxers, I think, are going to go at each other. They're going to try and attack each other. Jeff Horn isn't the kind of guy to sit back. He's not going to play that defensive game that we saw Mayweather play a couple of years ago. So he's going to go out there, he's going to try and win this. As you said, he's a knockout specialist.
Yeah.
So what he wants to do is he wants Pacquiao to sort of come in close. Jeff Horn's a bigger guy, he's got the reach over him. So Pacquiao's going to try and get in close to try and take him out, and he's renowned for his counter-attacking abilities. So great foot movement as well with Jeff Horn. It's a couple of side steps and hopefully landing that killer blow. But I just think at the end of the day, the experience of Pacquiao, he should be able to combat that well enough.
Well, that's a good sign. That's going to be a good sign for a good fight because, as you said, Jeff will be, the aggressor also in this fight. But then we'll see about what Manny Pacquiao also can do about his counter-punching ability. But then how is it like fighting a southpaw or an orthodox? Is that a big factor in this types of fights?
I think their styles, both boxers, are going to kind of match up pretty similar. His trainer, Glenn Rushton, has said just the other day that he's pretty much trained Jeff to fight like Pacquiao.
Okay.
So a lot of the stuff they've been doing, previous to knowing that this fight was going to happen, is to try and emulate the style of perhaps the greatest boxer of his generation. So Pacquiao's going to come up against someone with similarities, very elusive, very unpredictable but aggressive at the same time, but all in all, you're trying to copy the original. The original is always going to be better, I think, and this is something where Pacquiao eventually, I feel, is going to come out on top.
This, Paul, in sports, it's a different feeling when you're in training or in practice. But when it comes to the actual fight, actual game, or actual event, things change. When you're in the ring, when Jeff Horn realizes that he's going to be in the ring with Pacquiao, do you think, that will kind of pinch his nerves a bit?
There's one thing I know about Jeff from speaking to him over the phone personally, and the rest of my team that's interviewed him back home plenty of times. He's confident in his own abilities.
Right.
Jeff believes he can go in there and can win this Sunday. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Throw in 55,000, 60,000 Australians. This is going to be a record boxing attendance in Australia. Nearly double the previous record attendance set in 1992, I believe. So although many of those are Pacquiao fans, they're coming for the Pacquiao draw, they're going to be getting behind him. Underdog, 60,000 fans. That might give him the extra strength he needs to hang in there a bit longer, or maybe cause a major upset.
Now, Paul, I just want to ask you this. How important is this fight for both Pacquiao and for Horn?
It's hard to say who's got more to lose or more to gain. Obviously, Horn's got more to gain. Pacquiao, some say, has got that one foot out the door already in politics, that maybe his mind isn't 100% on this fight, whereas Horn is all in on boxing right now, so it can really make him. But in terms of, if he loses, as long as he makes a good account of himself, I think that's the most important thing. And Pacquiao obviously doesn't want an upset, especially early on. That would be quite bad for him. I think both politically as well as it was, hopefully seeing these future fights. And let's be honest, what Pacquiao really wants here is that Mayweather rematch down the line. And if he gets Horn real quick, and talking first, second, third round, then the whispers are going to start again. Could we see Pacquiao and Mayweather, especially if Mayweather defeats McGregor like many people are predicting, then we're going to see.
That's a different issue. That's a different one, for Mayweather and McGregor. But then, just a quick one, Paul. Do you think there will be a knockout?
I think so. I think Pacquiao's going to get him. I can't say when. I think Horn's going to hang in there longer than people expected. Maybe give a better account of himself than a lot of people are expecting. But I think Pacquiao's going to come on top, perhaps some point after the 6th round.
All right, that's going to be on July 2 in Brisbane, Australia. Thank you so much, Paul Eyers,
Thanks
for
so
your
much
time.
for having me on. It's been great.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
It is June 30th.